Let's talk about what really makes or breaks a great mix. It's your low end. That's your kick and your bass. If you don't get it right, even an average Joe who knows nothing about music can tell something's just not right with your song. Most often, a muddy mix means an amateur sounding track, and 9 times out of 10, that mud is coming from a lack of clarity in your low end. So today, I'm gonna show y'all how to fix it. The first step to really locking in the low end in your track is choosing the right kick. Sound selection, in my opinion, is such an overlooked aspect of music production because a lot of people have this idea that everything can be saved in the mix, and it is simply not true. A lot of the time, you just end up with an over-processed hunk of junk. Picking sounds that are better suited for the song is just an easier solution. Now, how do you pick the right kick? Listen to your kick samples in context. Don't just spam the arrow keys up and down cycling through the thousands of kicks you probably have downloaded on your hard drive. Actually drop these kicks into your project and see how it sounds in relation to everything else. A kick might sound great on its own, but might not sound well in context to your current song, or vice versa. Sometimes you hear a kick soloed and you're sitting there like, how the hell am I supposed to use this? But then you throw it into your project and it's exactly what you were looking for. Let's use the song that I uploaded earlier this week as an example. The kick I chose for this song has literally no processing on it. I chose a softer kick for this song, which a lot of people might think is blasphemy, but had I chose a more aggressive sounding kick, I would be here all day trying to get it to fit into this song properly, and I likely would still never get it to really sound great with this song. So try not to force things and keep looking for a kick sample that works well off rip in relation to your song. The next step to really dialing in a pro mix is getting your bass nice and tight in the mix. We all love a good old re-space, but a big issue that comes with them is how wide those sub frequencies can get, and we don't want that. We want a nice, tight, focused low end. But trying to put these low frequencies in mono using a plugin leaves you with a nasty, uneven, dynamic low end, which we also do not want. My go-to trick for really locking in the low end on my bass is by simply making a sub track. When I first started trying to take mixing and music production seriously, the genre I was working with mostly was rock and metal. And this trick is basically common practice in those genres, and I've taken the same trick to basically every other genre I've worked in because it simply works. I talk a bit more in detail about this in my how to make thick meaty bass video, but I'll do a shortened rundown here for y'all. I start off by opening up Vital or Serum, going into basic shapes, and using either a saw or a square wave, or any of these higher ones here will work too, and filtering the absolute hell out of them. So we are left with a nice tight sub that has some nice upper harmonic information there so your listeners can still hear it on smaller speakers. Now if you want to add some width to your bass, you can pick any one of your favorite Reese-bass presets, copy and paste the same MIDI over, and filter the low end out of that. Just make sure not to filter too much out of it, as it will leave the two elements sounding disconnected. Now you have a great kick and a great bass, but how do we get them to interact with each other in a pleasant way? Try sidechaining them. You don't necessarily have to do this, but it does add a nice layer of clarity in your low end and also adds a nice groove between the two elements. You can decide how aggressive this effect is by pushing the threshold up or down based on your needs. I typically like more aggressive sounding sidechaining, but this of course is just a personal taste of mine. I know many people are not fans of the way this effect sounds, so of course do things to your own personal taste. Now we've got something going here, but there's still unwanted mud coming from the instruments in your song. This clutters up that low end area our kick and bass are trying to live in, and adds to that muddy sound you hate hearing. Which leads us right into our final step, cleaning up the rest of your mix. This is a really simple step to do. All you have to do to fix this is by going through all your instrument tracks and do a low cut anywhere from 100 to 150 hertz. You don't want to take that filter up too high because you will absolutely neuter the body of your sounds, but that 100 to 150 range is a good starting point to clean out any unwanted low end. Let's do an A-B comparison where I turn on and turn off all the low cuts on the instruments and see if you can tell the difference. The main thing that's apparent to me is the Rhodes piano layer. Since we took the high cut a bit higher on it and cut out some of those low mids, it definitely feels like it blends into the mix a bit better when compared to the first version. Mixing, in my opinion, is something that only really comes with time and experience. Of course, every other element in your mix is also incredibly important, and things will start to slowly click for you over time. But doing these simple techniques here to get your low end sounding great is what I think can really take your mixes a step above where they once were very quickly. A big, solid low end is what separates most great mixes from the rest, so be sure to use the tips the next time you're trying to wrap up the mix for one of your songs. I hope the video was helpful, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.